Welcome back. Here comes our final session speaker. Kevin's on the way. So let's welcome Kevin. Woohoo!
Hi. Um, Nice to meet everyone. Thank you for spending your Friday afternoon. My name is Kevin Peter He. I'm an artist and director based in New York. So, just to clarify, this is not necessarily going to be so much of a technical showcase, is more kind of like a conceptual one where we'll kind of show a little bit of my past work. I primarily work with um, immersive technologies, production tools to make live performances and art. And we'll kind of take you through my past work and reimagine how these tools can be used for making interesting things. So I would say that my work kind of explores the nature of technology itself and kind of how it reflects upon the human condition. So I started out as a 3D artist, did a lot of Unreal Engine work, things like this. And then for the past couple of years, I was the full-time creative director of a XR and creative studio based in Brooklyn called Zero Space, where we have a variety of tools such as 60-foot VP wall for virtual production, photogrammetry, a Vicon motion capture volume, and so on and so forth to create a lot of works for clients like Chanel, interactive Twitch streams for Nike, Justin Bieber music videos, New York Fashion Week events, and then some Coachella installations and things like that. But I think, as a lot of artists do, the process of using these tools became very, very intriguing to me. We would spend a lot of time playing around with, the engine, interactivity, and sometimes the end outcome as a film or a static production would feel not enough to kind of capture the magic of the actual process. So I actually have a dance background, and also being based in New York, being surrounded by live arts such as music and theater and all these people doing experimental performances, I started thinking, can we see our production equipment as instruments? Can we see cinematography as choreography and see the actual process of production itself as a performance? So this kind of started my live cinema practice. So let's take virtual production as an example. Typically, we're sort of using these cameras to, film that is tracked on a volume. So thinking about these tools, I began to kind of break it down in terms of how it works, experimenting with different sensors and form factors. So what resulted was essentially kind of like a 3D printed a rig that I made myself that has a sensor that replicates kind of what a stipe tracking system would usually do. And as I move it, the camera in the virtual scene moves as well. So I would perform this show. I'm going to show a segment of it. So this piece is called Passage, and the act of navigating, sort of the camera work is all done live, and it's a 45-minute to 60-minute one shot that takes you through this journey through a forest, starting from the bottom all the way to the top to watch the sunrise. And typically there's a musician doing a live score, and I would improvise off to the music, doing all the camera work live, the lighting live, and the environment is all live simulated, essentially just kind of playing a game, and everything will kind of respond to my gaze and position and everything. And so this piece is toured internationally. We've taken to Oslo, to LA, Arizona, Australia, Asia, things like that. If anyone's interested in talking about this, I can answer any questions. And then currently I am doing a artist fellowship at the Lincoln Center in New York, developing a dance piece. So this is kind of where motion capture comes in. So similar to how we were kind of approaching virtual production in my past work, thinking about kind of motion capture in the human body and human movement and how that's translated. So I'm going to show some experts of this new work that I'm doing called Vestige. Okay, so kind of thinking about essentially motion capture less as a production tool to just replicate human motion. I think that motion capture inherently there's three things. There's ourselves, the input source, right, and then there is our digital output that can exist in many forms, and there's the computer that's interpreting this. So, what if we kind of focus on the motion capture as a process between two bodies or two entities or two dimensions? What kind of narrative sort of like exists or comes out of that? Also, shout out to JC, who's Juan Carlos Leon, who's probably in the chat, and then Eric Chang as well. JC has been doing a lot of really great work with MOVIN and motion capture. So we're friends. And then Eric Chang has been co-developing the system with me. So follow their work. And also transparently, we've been given this MOVIN system pretty recently. So we didn't have a ton of time, but here are some sort of interesting experiments that we did. One was actually, you know what? I'm going to show this first and then I'll talk about how we did it. Okay. So this is a really fun experiment. So the way that we did this, or how we kind of found out about it, was actually we found that you can actually calibrate backwards. So if you form an A pose with your back against the camera, you can still trick the system into thinking that you're facing forward. And which is how we got this sort of very interesting, haunting mirroring solution where it feels like it's trying to avoid each other. And once we saw that, we started thinking, what if there's a relationship between these two dimensions where this person is trying to, embrace his avatar, but what happens out of that? And then subsequently, Steve started to try to game the system, and which resulted, I think, in the final sort of like area that was really interesting, where we actually uh, it did it upside down. So again, I think that everyone today has already talked about the amazing potential that MOVIN has in terms of the accuracy, the fidelity, the ease of setup, and everything. And I think I definitely want to echo that. But also, I think my work now these days a lot is kind of thinking. Kind of about the inherent constraints and the sort of poetic potential to be able to actually use that to create art. So this is one. The second little short video I'll show is wearing very baggy. Is we kind of realized that you also there's a proximity, and obviously there's a lot of algorithm that's sort of smoothing things, so you can't easily touch your own body. So this is the second video that we kind of made out of that concept. Oops, I muted. Okay, so this piece was kind of, again, kind of playing off of the kind of dissonance between his movements and what essentially the algorithm has interpreted. So I think that there's a lot of beauty in actually it not quite doing the same thing and trying to keep up and sort of making a story out of that sort of concept. So oh, and I guess on the technical side, I will say that this was done in very, very low light, which typically a lot of performances can't be lit, with studio lighting. So they're doing quite well. So this is an example of that. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so as I end, sort of, I would say leaving behind, how can tools designed for essentially commercial production be used for its poetic potential to create art? And that is my presentation. If you're interested in following my work, here are the my information. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to dive into the more like weird art side or the technical sort of like side as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. And is there any questions? Yeah, everybody was said that your works are amazing, gorgeous interaction. Your work should be in the museum. Thank you so much, Kevin, for today. Thank you so much. Is there any questions? Interesting. Thank you. Comments from Charlotte. And they are saying, thanks, Kevin. Thank you from all our audience. Yep, I think we can wrap up, Kevin.
Great.
Thank you
Thanks.
so much, Kevin. Oh, there's one quick question, Kevin.
Yes.
Did you have recalibrate mid performance for the first one?
No, no, we didn't. So it's actually quite interesting. I'll play this again. We started with calibrating it backwards. So we have this. And actually, in this moment here, just watch. Nope, sorry. Very soon. Yep, there you go. It's very, very subtle, but he, I think, stepped out of frame for a little bit, but not enough for the system to lose tracking, because if you step out of the frame of movement, you have to recalibrate, step into the center and do an A pose. But it just, I think the system kind of just tried for a second to see if it can fix itself. So, and it did. So they actually flipped, right? So we actually didn't like quote unquote recalibrate at all during the duration of this session. The AI or the algorithm just did that work for us in the background and tried to fix different sort of like glitches. So as you saw, that happen, and then here when Steve did this motion again, it flipped back into this mirroring, this backwards calibration. And then it flipped into upside down over here. Yeah, so we didn't recalibrate. We just kind of took that sort of, we noticed that was happening because we were just kind of messing around with the system with movement and decided to make a concept out of it. Yeah.
Okay, another question from Hamza. I'm so curious. Could we ask question to Kevin directly on Instagram? My brain is melting actually. I don't know where to start right now.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, feel free. And these are all metahumans, by the way. So.
You're wearing.
Oh. Yeah, this is my Instagram over here. It's just Kevin Peter He.
Final question, also from Hamza. Maybe what's the main pros and cons of using moving tracing for live performance?
Yeah, so the biggest one, Great question. One of the pains of live performance is the touring aspect. Here, let's go back. What is a good example of all my gear? I've actually reduced it down quite a lot. This stuff all fits into a large Pelican case that I check, and then I have to also put my mini ITX PC in a carry-on suitcase to travel to perform. But as this is that means it's just one single person. If I have a stage production, then there's a lot more. So having something that's very lightweight, very easy to set up, because oftentimes when you're performing at festivals, the changeover is very slow. Sorry, very fast. They don't give you enough time. Sometimes the venue sort of like conditions are not ideal. So these are all things, I think, quick setup, light footprint. These are all things that were very, very important to us. And then also the lighting conditions as well. Oftentimes there's strobe lighting, there's haze, there's a lot of different things. There's darkness involved. So that's something that we're testing. There's a lot of things that we haven't tested yet because, like I said, we kind of just received the unit. But sometimes when we're placing this on stage with dancers stomping or bass vibration, that could potentially mess with the calibration or the sort of like the ground plane. Those are things that we want to see if that affects it. Outdoors, I performed outdoors before. I really prefer not to, because there's just so many like not controllable elements in terms of power and connectivity, and like there's dust and all this stuff. But we will try it. So we'll kind of keep you posted. And then I primarily use Unreal Engine. I use Touch Designer as an interface to route data. So all my controllers are sending like raw serial outputs, and Touch Designer is sort of like cleaning that up and sending it as OSC to Unreal. But my collaborator and technical director, Eric Chang, does a lot of live like live TD and like notch work with point clouds and stuff too. So he might be, speaking upon this in the future as we kind of mess with this a little bit more. This is his Instagram. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Cool.
Yep. Huge thank you from Hamza. Thank you, Kevin. I think we can wrap up our session for Kevin. Thank you so much once again, Kevin, and say bye bye
You.
to our audience.
Bye.